Hey everybody, it's Donna Reed coming to you from the Cactus Lounge, aka my office or my house or my living room or my car, wherever that is, and doing something a little bit different today. Today, I'm going to talk to three women, all who have helped with reunions and are also going to be helping this year. And we're just going to ask a few questions about who they are and why they do and what they do. So Barb, let's start with you. Tell everybody who you are and tell us when you traveled, how many reunions you've worked at.
Barb Smith Buteris. I first traveled 75, and for a period of over 4 years, I traveled 3 years as a business manager. So 75 through 79.
Okay.
I live in Tucson and hosted many years in addition to being an alumni. And I think I started working reunions about 20 years ago when they came back to Tucson after having been in Boston and Breckenridge and a couple of other places. So a long time.
And I think that's when I got to know you, doing reunions. We didn't know each other.
No, we lived in the same town, but we didn't travel together. So yes.
Exactly. So Pat Daniels, share your experience with Up With People and reunions.
Okay, mine started, I never traveled, but mine started several years ago when I was in high school back in the 60s. My parents hosted 3 young ladies and I saw my first show. And I was ready to jump on the bus and travel. And Dad said no.
Oh.
So life went on. And 20 years later, I saw a flyer in a storefront window asking for host families for Up With People. I said, oh, I remember that. So hosted back in,
yourself.
Yes, like in the 80s. And so from the mid 80s, I hosted at least 2 students every June and July. Every January and July for staging. And then every time they traveled through Tucson. Then in the late 80s, I got a part-time job at Up With People office as the receptionist and switchboard operator. And later on, a full-time position, administrative assistant to the chief financial officer and Department of Transportation. And I stayed it Up With People until the doors locked and they moved their corporate office to Denver. And then about 20 years later, Mia Hansen reached out to several of us and said, Tucson has been awarded the reunion for the next 2 years. Any of you want to help? And that's when I met Barb and Donna. And I've been doing part of the registration team for 22 years now.
So Pat, I just have to say, just saying switchboard operator to me.
I know.
I was like, is that a term that we say? For whatever reason, I have ideas of you plugging things in like the operators.
No plugins, but it was a large phone with lots and lots of buttons.
Yeah. Oh my God, that's just so funny hearing you say that. All right, Renee, tell us who you are and what your activities and travel stuff was.
Yeah, so I'm Renee. I traveled in 2007, Cast A, because I'm part of the Restart tours where we only traveled for 6 months instead of a year. So I was a January through July or January through June cast. And then I worked, I guess PR is what most people know it as for Up With People. So I was part of the advanced team that would go out and set up the cities literally all over the world for the cast to come in. So I did that for a few years. And yeah, I don't remember when I started working reunions. I think it's 10 years, but I say that because we haven't had reunions the last couple of years. I don't know. I got off the road and I pretty much went straight into reunions. So I don't know.
You were like a baby. So these ladies, you guys, are all helping with the reunion up in Phoenix at the Talking Stick Resort Casino and have taken on some responsibilities. Renee, let's go back to you. Tell everybody what you're going to be doing up at the reunion.
Yep. So I do Cast K activities. So that's why I said as soon as I got off the road, I pretty much went straight into reunions because I was asked to volunteer with Cast K. At the time,
what's Cast K, Renee?
Oh, sorry. Cast K is for Cast Kids. So it's the alumni children. We also have Cast T. So I guess it should be Cast C, but we already have Cast C. So Cast K for kid. And then we have Cast T for teens. So I was asked originally to help out with Cast K, and then took over Cast K operations a couple years later. And so I do all the programming. So for any alumni who are bringing kids between, I think it's 6 and 12 or 13. I don't know, we've kind of flexed on the year and the age over the years. They can be part of Cast K, and then 13 through, I think it's 17, are part of Cast T. So the biggest year we had was in Orlando. That was
Well, of course.
insane. I think there was like almost 100 of them. It was crazy, but most of the time it's a pretty manageable group from anywhere like 10 to 30. So think like a classroom size group.
So for all of you who might be watching this, who've never been to a reunion, and I remember when Cast, the kids started coming in, it is like the proudest mommy and daddy moment that there can be. And, to watch their darlings on stage, it's like doing the Christmas play at church or something. It doesn't matter, right? And Renee, I would have to guess that maybe you were thrust into that job because you can get up and down off the floor and do things. And some of us aren't so great at that. So maybe that's why it's like, put the young people with the young people. Yeah. Are you bringing your son this year? Is he going to be?
I am. So I've actually bred my own Cast K. So if you've been at reunions, you've probably seen me over the years, from being pregnant to pushing a stroller to now Will is 5.5. So we're making exceptions for him because his mom's the coordinator and he has to be with me everywhere I am. So yeah,
That's exciting.
Cast K, we're very excited.
Nice. And Barb, what are you doing this year?
I'm a jack of all trades this year, but my main responsibility is working in the registration area, which is the first place this year it'll be the second place that people will come to get their name badges. So I manage that area. And then this year I'm also managing all of our non-production volunteers. So Eric Luntz has all of the production folks, but I'm just managing and assigning the non-production volunteers too.
Okay. So is the first place we go the casino? Is that why you're the second? Sorry.
No, this year you have to read the data on the website, but there's something called a pre-check area, and people need to present some credentials there that show that they are vaccinated, I believe. So you'll have to keep checking the website. So before we can issue badges, that has to be accomplished. But
so that's good to know. Okay. And Pat, what are you helping with this year?
I'm what they call the concierge desk, which is under the registration. I answer as many questions as I can because there's lots of them, but I do the late registration. So it isn't too late to come to the reunion. We will be there on Wednesday and you can start registering at that time. So it's not too late. We hope that you will come. And
awesome. All right. And so, ladies, I think I also, I can't remember exactly what I told you I was going to ask you. So I am going to ask you if through all the years, through all the shows that you've seen, you're not allowed to say Rhodes or Moonrider. I'm just putting it out there. But what would you say might be a song that you like from through the years? Because we've all heard a lot of songs over a lot of years. Pat, what about you?
Oh my goodness. I can't pick one. I start clear back to the 60s with the Joan of Arc and then go from Up With People, theme song, period. If more people, we're for people, and that's what I love about being around the reunion people is the energy and the passion that you have for the community. All
right. Awesome. Barb, do you have a favorite?
I don't have a favorite because there's so many and they bring tears to my eyes, when I hear them. But if I'd have to choose, it would be two. It's when Give the Children Back Their Childhood then also goes into There's Going to Be Another Day. And I think that's what it is. And that's just real poignant and always just brings tears to my eyes. And especially if there are children in the audience who are crying or making a little bit of noise, it just makes the song even more poignant,
Right. Right. This year, that really matters. What about you, Renee?
I can't think of like one specific song. The era show in general is my most favorite part of a reunion because like it doesn't matter if people traveled in the 60s, the 70s, the 80s, or like 5 years ago, they are all giving it their all to those songs and choreography. And like the amount of people I've seen dropped, like
Boogie people, not that I ever went up on
or
anybody's
like the
shoulders.
amount of people I've seen like just like almost fall off the stage because they forget like like what it's like to move around with like 50 to 100 other people. Like it's incredible. Like the era show by far is the best part, and every single song makes you cry, makes you laugh, makes you jump up and dance, and it's amazing.
That's awesome. And I did ask you ladies. So Barb, I had also, I think, emailed you all and said, what was your favorite part of reunion? And you said you had something specific and you were not going to tell me in advance. So
Well, I have two. The first is when I work at registration desk and I have an alumni come up and say, I have never been to a reunion. And this is maybe their 20th, 30th, or 40th reunion. And so they're just in awe by everything that's going on. And I always say to them, I guarantee you that if you see me at the end of reunion, you will come up to me and say, I will never miss another one. It was like just fantastic. And I can't tell you the number of times that that has happened to me, that alumni do come back up to me and say, you were right. I will never miss the opportunity to get together again. The second favorite is what a lot of people don't notice, but on era show night, after the era shows, when we are winding down as volunteers, extremely tired, but I love to walk through the hotel, and there are groups all over the hotel, at the pool, in lobbies, wherever they can find a place to get together for the last time before we all break and go home. And to see the mass population of Up With people from different eras, from the 60s up to the 2000s, just in their little groups, clinging to every last morsel of being together with their castmates, it is just like an out-of-body experience to witness.
all right, so you're making me cry because you're so right.
I didn't mean to.
People standing around pianos. Oh my gosh. Oof, sorry. Pat,
It's the truth. It's the truth. Just observe this year.
it is the truth. Pat, what about you?
And the same thing, what I enjoy most is whether you are 30, 40, 50, 60, even 70 years of age, you become 18 and 20 again. And it's so fun to just watch, like Barb said, just watch the camaraderie and like you've never skipped a beat. It's like you've been together all of your life. And I just love that. The other thing I love is the cascade and the tea, especially the teas. They often will come not being registered because why am I going to this?
We're not going to do that.
Yeah. And then by the second or third day, the parents are saying, have you seen my kid? You know, because they just are running. They own the hotel. They have a wonderful time. And then they have made their best friend for life in 3 days as well. And that's just such a joy to see everybody. There is no age difference then.
Yeah. You know, you saying that reminds me, Barb, when we were in Sweden, that some of that cast, that 84 group, their kids now go visit each other, even though they never, the parents don't go, the kids get together. And I'm like, that is amazing to me. That, and maybe they met as young people, maybe they met in Cast K or Cast T. I mean, we don't know, but how cool is that? And before we started recording, I had said, you know, what would we say to encourage somebody to come that has never come? And I kind of think you already put it out there, right? Like it's, one of my castmates just did a road trip and she had dinner with someone. So she lives in Texas. She had dinner with someone in Washington. And she said, I'm sure his wife got extremely tired of us talking about what we did when we were 18 and 20 years old. And then she said, but there's nothing else. She goes, even in high school, you don't have that remember when thing. You don't, you know, you may have played a football game or been homecoming queen or whatever, but nothing like the experiences that we shared.
Right.
And I'd like to intercept there too with when you spoke of spouses. it isn't necessary to register your spouse. You know, they can buy just an air show ticket if they'd like, and then make it a vacation. But what I've seen is the spouses end up having their own little group going on, and you know,
Yep. Yep.
it's not too late to come.
Yep. And so as I wrap this up, I'm just going to throw in my own. This year I am not working at it because I'm leaving town very shortly after. So I'm just going to come up and see you all on Saturday. However, as a person who was the only person from my little hometown in Ohio that ever traveled, if I hadn't moved to Tucson, I wouldn't know any of you guys. My kids tell me I cry all the time. I do.
But we're glad you moved to Tucson.
Yeah.
Yes, we are.
Yeah. So thank you for helping, ladies. And we'll get this out there and hopefully we'll bring a few more people.
We
And if
can't
I-
wait to see all of you.
Everybody at reunion.
All right. All right. Thanks, guys.
Bye.
Bye.